Hey everybody, a quick introduction mini lecture on the topic of being a social work administrator and ethics. I have to admit that oftentimes as an administrator, my ethics have gotten me into more trouble. Usually it's not my lack of ethics, it's my advocacy, my pushing social work ethics. Um, and it's a necessary battle that we often have to do if we want to be ethical ourselves and we want to maintain the standard of ethical social work practice. Some things for you to consider, and that we're going to talk about in particular in the voice thread, is you will often be in positions, as I have, which led me to get into trouble or some ethical conflict, which is appropriate. You will often be the solo social worker as an administrator. Sometimes you will be supervising or administrating people that don't have the same professional ethical background. Could be nurses, could be physicians that you could be supervising or administrating. It could be paraprofessionals or folks that are volunteers that don't have a professional ethical background. Some of my biggest challenges when we look at different ethical values has been the conflict between business ethics and social work ethics. Yeah, I know you can smell that coming already. There's a really good article that I found that was actually written by a student that I found really good. It's talking about social work or talking about social enterprise, the movement of business and profit agencies into addressing social problems. It's maybe about 5 or 6 years old, but it really explores that phenomenon in a little bit more detail. So again, how do we address that? How do we manage that balancing our ethical values? Um, because oftentimes where we'll see that conflict occur won't necessarily just be in actions, but it'll be the conflict between we've got our social work ethics, and then we've got our agency policy, and then we have law. Just because something is written in stone, an agency policy, or is even a state law or a federal law, doesn't make it ethical. So then what do we do as social workers? Keep in mind, sometimes being an ethical social worker means advancing change, means advocating change, means risking our job. Do we sell out? Do we follow agency policy or even state law when it is inconsistent with our ethical values as a social worker? So it's kind of a continuum. How do we impose? How do we push? I tend to be heavy-handed in that. That's one end of the continuum. The other end is collapsing, caving in, selling out, as I mentioned. That's the other end of this continuum. And there's not a perfect answer. As ethical dilemmas will tell you, it's gray. That's why it's a dilemma. There's not a right or wrong. It's a gray area, and so we have to pick the area or the solution that is the best fit. It may not perfectly fit with our ethical values, but maybe it's good enough of a fit. It's a compromise. It's a political balance between um, um, kind of mediating our values with the other values. Um, Again, it's a continuum of imposing and pushing social work values with just collapsing and not being honoring our values. Um, the one thing that I've learned, from my experience as an administrator, is if I push too hard with those other disciplines, with those business administrators, where we have that conflict, may push them hard enough, even though I may be right. I may push them hard where I've lost a partner. The relationship that I need to maintain is not there. So it's a balance. It's definitely a balance. The other thing is we need to make sure that we don't lose sight in our voices as social work administrators, our unique skill set, our unique paradigm, which is unique, and looking at that whole person and looking at the whole agency, really looking at the agency in the environment. Systems theory works great with people. It works even greater with agencies. So not losing our voice in thinking about these ethical challenges that we're going to face, that you will face as administrators, as opportunities to teach and to encourage and to promote change. So how do we do that? How do we, honor our ethical backgrounds, um, but yet also incorporate those of other people? How do we look at this continuum? How do we keep our jobs in the whole sense? Because that's the one thing. You could be exactly right, ethically 100%, and still lose your job, and you've lost an opportunity to promote change in that agency. So that's an important thing. So again, how do we maintain our voice? So we're gonna talk about several of these things in the discussion. The readings are really good. That sort of get us to think about it, and some of the videos too, as far as being ethical. Now, some people say, well, if you're not doing something legal, that can definitely get you into trouble. Yeah, that's right. But keep in mind, there's been some really awful things that used to be legal, that people broke the laws in advancing social change. So again, as administrators, ethical dilemmas are opportunities to teach, are opportunities to encourage change, um, and they're going to take a lot of your time. They really will, and it will be the things that you struggle with. Okay, loving the class. I love your interactions. Um, when I read all your stuff and I see your videos, and I like your videos, those are fun. Do the audio things too, because I had a little snafu. Hopefully that's going to be gone since we're moving to VoiceThread versus the discussion boards. Um, it makes me crave sitting with you guys in a classroom and having a live interactive type discussion, because I think you're an awesome group of students. I really like your energy. I like your dedication, and I like the fact that you actually are reading all this stuff. Okay, good luck. Holler at me if you have any questions. Bye.